Hey everyone, welcome to Sure Buddy Media. Just in the early stages of getting this channel kicked off, as you know, so please, your likes, your subscribes, your comments will go a long way to helping us take the next step with this channel. But Omar, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Exciting weekend, week 11 of football. I think it's the best weekend of football that we've had so far. A lot of good games.
By far the best weekend we've seen in quite some time. I didn't get to watch a lot of the games live. I had to go and catch up afterwards, so that was kind of a bummer. There was a lot of good football played, but today we're going to go in and talk about some of the best, some of the worst, some of the studs, some of the duds, um, just kind of quick hits, initial reactions, and where to go from here. But before we go too far into it, just wanted you to see I brought this out for you. It's under a couple of
Ah,
weeks late. It's just a
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I busted out the Josh jersey behind me as well, just because we'll get to that play of the year according to Jim Nett. So
Man, you know, because someone in your position doesn't get to get the championship experience very often, that might be the closest thing that you get this year, but it was a hell of a moment.
yeah. Well, let's start with Buffalo and Kansas City since we're talking about it already. The yearly Bills win against Kansas City during the regular season, only to blow it in the playoffs. But great game. Two pretty evenly matched teams. Buffalo looked a little bit more in command. They had a lot more time of possession for the game. But there was some good fantasy tidbits that kind of came out of that game. Just watching it through, Kansas City's defense obviously is pretty legit. They shut down the Bills' running game. James Cook had a rough game running the ball. He did have two touchdowns, which kind of saved him. But going forward, I think you could probably count on the Bills are pretty committed to the run. I thought that he was pretty solid. Before this game, um, again from the Bills side, Shakir stepped up. He had 8 catches for 70 yards. He's been solid all year. He has 600 yards on the season. Pretty solid for kind of a nobody wide receiver coming into the year out of Boise. So happy to see that happen. Curtis Samuel kind of step up a little bit with Cooper's hurt. Keon Coleman's he's been out for the past 2 weeks. He had 5 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown as well. So some good little tidbits here. Unfortunately, I think you picked up Dawson Knox this week. He didn't do too much in the absence of Kincaid. So
Yeah, he disappointed me against you. I was hoping that he would be the one to kind of upset you for the week. That would have been kind of poetic. But Dawson Knox, not so much. You know who
yeah.
was a great backup tight end though?
Yeah. Mr. Noah Gray,
Yeah,
first
man, what was up
career.
with that, dude?
Uh, I
He's
think what I think what happened is that the Bills were just keying on Kelsey. He had two
how
catches,
frust
8 yards, so
how frustrating are Noah Gray and Isaiah Likely this year?
just up and down. But this is Noah Gray's first multi-touchdown game of his career. So it's not something that as a streamer, there's like I think 5 or 6 buys next week. If you need a tight end desperately, he may be a good pickup. Tell me something, Jay. At what point do you give up on Patrick Mahomes as a fantasy quarterback?
I'm just now getting interested in him, to be honest. I This is prime time, right? This is fall, December football and beyond. I think he's just getting started. Dude, I mean, if he was available in our league, I would go pick him up right now. I think that there's the best is yet to come.
You're not
I'm
worried about the lack
there's
of weapons?
no, he's a weapon.
Nah.
He's gonna make it, dude. He threw two touchdowns to Noah Gray, bro. I mean, um, he's gonna find a way. Like I'm more interested actually after that game in Chiefs players than I was before. I think we see this every year, although not quite to the extent that we see it in previous years. This year, it hasn't happened yet, but it's the oh man, Chiefs blew it. They're like, are they really it? Are they really
Yeah.
contenders? That talk, and then they just thrive off of that, and then they kind of they just take off from there. So I'm interested in all Chiefs positional like skill position players, tight ends, wide receivers, running backs. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. He's going to catch some passes out of the backfield and do just some wonky stuff. These like screen passes and just all the Isaiah Pacheco stuff that he does. So I think you'll pick up a couple passing touchdowns there. I'm just Patrick
What
Mahomes
do
just
you
getting started.
what are you doing with Kareem Hunt? You keep, I mean, he carried a lot of teams in the last couple of weeks. Do you keep him on the team, or you just cut bait?
No, that's his old ass is just a handcuff at this point.
Yep. All
Yep.
right.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Eagles versus the Commanders. Why don't you talk to me about the Eagles side of the ball?
Eagles, I mean, Saquon is Saquon, right? He had 146 yards, two touchdowns. He's a beast.
It's a down week
Uh,
for him though. No,
yeah,
no ass backwards hurdles. So
man.
yeah, disappointing, man.
Yeah, I think that's the second greatest feat I've seen on the football field after Jerome Simpson's front flip landing perfectly back in the day for the Bengals. But no, I
It was
mean,
almost
look,
that or Ken Walker's little catapult.
oh, wrestling
Yeah.
move.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Oh, I think I think I could do Ken Walker's. I think I've done that like just randomly messing around.
That
I
was an
could I
accident when you're wrestling with your kids,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. But I could, no matter how hard I tried, I could not do a backwards hurdle
Okay. Okay.
over
Fair enough.
somebody.
All right. So Saquon, sure. What about AJ Brown?
AJ Brown, I mean, look, I think the Eagles have turned into a run first offense. They're trying to limit um the carries or the pass attempts for Jalen Hurts. I think that's what I'd be worried about. He only had 28 pass attempts, 221 yards. Um
You know
Decent,
what?
but
You know what bothers me about their passing offense is oftentimes in the red zone, someone other than Dallas Goddard or AJ Brown is a first look in the red zone.
yep,
Why?
like Calcaterra
Why?
or some other random.
I've seen Devontae the first look read go to Devontae. Why?
Probably because teams are focusing on AJ Brown, right? I think they know that he's wide receiver one, so they're trying to take
Or
him away, and
or
so
probably because their quarterback's overrated.
oh, I completely agree. I think ever since that Super Bowl year, ever since then, he's at a downward swing. He lost his O coordinator that year to the Colts, and so ever since then he's never been the same. So
Hit
he's
we're
solid fantasy, but he's not carrying your team.
all three of my quarterbacks this season, and we'll get into the others in a little bit, have disappointed. CJ Stroud, Jalen
Yep,
Hurts,
yep,
Jordan Love. All
yep,
three have disappointed. On the Commander side of the ball, I mean, the Eagles' defense just showed up. I was actually really impressed with Brian Robinson. Everything that I was looking at, all the pundits, even my just gut reaction was, "Do not play this guy," and he managed to eke out a touchdown. I think the Austin Eckler split is a little bit concerning going forward. Austin Eckler actually outscored him in half PPR, I believe half PPR and PPR leagues. So not super comfortable with that backfield right now. And then not to mention the touchdown equity that they lose to Jaden Daniels in and around the end zone. But my if you do happen to have like late trade deadlines like we do, dude, you got to get Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin is league
yep.
winner the rest of the way. Looking at their schedule, how it breaks down,
Agreed.
and dude, he's like forcing the ball to Terry McLaurin. Not that he's like overly target saturated either. It's just they've got a rare connection. It's pretty special. I think next year in redraft leagues or keeper leagues, you should be looking at holding on to McLaurin. And next year, dude, I think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver easily, maybe even top five next year.
And it's a great week too. If you still have your draft deadline still open, try to buy low. He only had one catch for 10 yards. That's not going to happen on a week to week basis. They got
Yep.
two young rookie corners that are playing well for Philadelphia. So, but I will say about the running backs real quick before we move on. Eckler did have 8 catches for 89 yards, while Brian Robinson only had one catch, which is a big boost for PPR reasons. I don't think Eckler is definitely not the running back that Brian Robinson is, but if you're just looking for some cheap catches, I think Austin Eckler is the way to go.
Yeah. I do think that, very honestly, I think I'm overreacting a little bit. I think the usage is going to start to favor Brian Robinson a little bit more going forward. I think they were just easing him in.
Yep.
Also, he just broke a couple of nasty chunk plays. Like he just, man, for everybody that was like myself, I was like, man, I'm not touching Eckler. Um,
Yeah, same.
definitely regretting that.
Yep.
Ravens Steelers. What do you got on the Steelers side of the ball?
Look, Steelers, there's only real. I don't touch the backfield. Najee splits too much with Jalen Warren. It's almost. I mean, Najee had 18 carries, Jalen had nine, but yardage wasn't too far off. It's just you just never know on a week to week basis. Receivers wise, I mean, if you have Deontay Johnson, then you should be playing fantasy. You should have dropped him a long time ago. He's done nothing. He's just a pure name. The only one worth keeping from their wide receiver is obviously George Pickens. I mean, he had 12 targets. Forget the 8 catches for 89 yards. 12 targets means that all Russ is looking at is George Pickens. He gets all the touchdowns since he's been back. Russ, I know you've been on the Russ train since he came back. I mean, he's undefeated, yeah, but 23 for 36 for 205 against Baltimore's passing
That's
defense,
wild. That's wild.
right? I
That's
mean
wild.
that his QR was 14.5. I mean, I know we don't do QBRs and all those fancy metrics, but whatever 14.5 is not good.
Hey,
So.
is it? It's just funny though that all these years later, and we still are seeing Russ passing it when he should be running.
Yep. Yep, and he'll just throw it away. He just doesn't take any chances, except he made a stupid mistake in the end zone for a pick. He had no touchdowns.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He threw a pick in the end zone, Russ?
Yep, to Marlon Humphrey. Yep. It
When
was
is he? Oh, shit. When has
yeah,
he ever
Russ
done that before?
against Baltimore's pass defense. They're like one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. It's crazy. So but it is a rivalry game, so you could chalk it up to that. They just Baltimore may have stepped up a little bit. But talk to me real quick about Baltimore. They didn't look too hot.
I'm not worried about it. Let's move on. Keep everybody, trade for them, get Mark Andrews, get Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, whoever. If you can, if for some reason somebody is panicking out of the playoffs, whatever, you got a late trade deadline, get the Ravens. Don't even worry about it. Move
Hey,
on.
Isaiah Likely, 4 catches, 75 yards. Just saying.
No, don't waste your time on
Next.
that bum.
What you got next?
All right, let's talk about the Lions and the Jaguars.
Lions Jaguars. This one is tough. I mean, we actually have someone in our league who is weekly starting David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs.
And
Montgomery had two
crushing it.
touchdowns. Yeah.
He
And
went from
he's
second to last to potentially in the playoffs in a matter of like 3 or 4 weeks doing
yep.
that.
I mean, Montgomery had two touchdowns. Gibbs had a touchdown. Uh, uh, it's
What are you doing with Laporta going forward?
I think you got to cut bait. I think he's hurt. He's just not playing. There's too many targets. They're running the ball a lot. I just don't see enough volume for him. I mean,
Is it an AC
I'm
sprain for him?
I
I,
don't know.
I think it's an AC sprain. I want to
Yeah.
say. What about Jameson Williams, weekly starter?
No, it's one of those. Jameson Williams is the best player for like a best ball league. I don't. He had 4 catches for 124 yards, right?
You know who
One.
Jameson Williams is great for? The team in our league. The person who's fighting and clawing to get into the playoffs and needs
Yeah.
big plays, needs to just, no risk it, no biscuit, and just leave it all out there. If you're that team, you should be starting Jameson Williams every week. If
Yep.
you're in first place and you're crushing it and you got the highest point total, he should sit on your bench.
Yep.
Don't play him. Um,
For buys or injuries only.
what about Brian Thomas Jr.? Gabe Davis out for the season confirmed.
Yep. Meniscus tear.
What does that do for him? Anything? Or are we just
I mean, it's all about Mac Jones, right? If you're trusting Mac Jones to play well at all, I think a lot of Brian Thomas's catches and yards were in complete garbage time, and this game was garbage time in the first quarter. So,
yeah?
5 catches, 82 yards. It looks good on paper. I just don't know if it's sustainable. I think more teams are just going to roll more coverage to Brian Thomas Jr. And just try to take that away and make them beat you with like the Parker Washingtons or Brenton Strange or whoever these people are. So,
Okay.
um, yeah.
Hey, moving on to Colts and Jets. How are you feeling about your boy Josh Downs?
Oh, Josh Downs. I was a little worried. I thought Flacco was the one that's gonna really pump him up, but he had a good week. He had a touchdown, 7 catches on 7 targets. Not a lot of yards, but he's just that slot merchant that's just gonna get catches for you, some return yards here and there. I think he's a solid wide receiver 3 on your team. He can't be your wide receiver 1 or even a wide receiver 2. He's just somebody that you just want.
Flex lock though,
Flex.
right?
Yep.
Just locked into that flex
Yep. I
position.
have him locked in my flex right now.
We were talking about Alec Pierce, and you brought him up. What about where do you see the future of Anthony Richardson? I've been seeing that his ads have been trending up.
Yep.
So are you a hold, drop, or add on Anthony Richardson rest of season?
I would
Whatever
hold
move you
him.
make, you're
Yeah.
married to that move. So whatever move you make, you're married to this move. Are you going to hold him? Are you going
Yeah.
to add him? Or are you going to drop him?
I'd hold him as a keeper for next year. I think as he gets more, I'm not playing him. He's sitting on my bench week to week. Even if he puts up these numbers, I mean, he has passing and rushing upside. I think he just needs more experience. I think more reps, which was stupid for them to go to Flacco in the first place. And then if you can keep him for cheap for next year, I think that he could be, a top 10 QB in fantasy.
I don't think it was stupid, man. I think it was a public show. It was like we
But he
have
tapped
to do
out.
this. You can't, like any other position, maybe you can tap your helmet, but like the quarterback can't say, "Hey, I need a blow."
Yeah.
Just in that situation, it was more so kind of send him a message too to let him know what his future was and was not going to be with that organization, and what they were going to tolerate, what they were not going to tolerate. I honestly commend them for doing it. They had to do it. But I don't think there's any mistaking the fact that Joe Flacco is definitely the better, more talented, more skilled quarterback in that locker room, and he's the only one, if any, that you can rely on for fantasy purposes. Jonathan Taylor, how do you feel about him moving forward?
I feel not as good as you do, because I mean he had 24 carries for 57 yards, and you just traded for him in our league. So,
Yep.
um, I guess the Jets have some players on defense that would have kind of maybe the Jets were daring Anthony Richardson to beat them compared to Jonathan Taylor. So you stack the box and
To me that's the only phase of their defense that's working.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
just it. That's just it. That portion of the team is the only portion of the team really that's working to me consistently.
isn't it
The
crazy
Jets,
how Sauce has fallen off?
yeah. I mean, I think he'd just rather be golfing.
Yeah.
He probably has like a bumper sticker on his car that says "I'd rather be golfing." He's extremely talented. I think he's trying to manifest Darrell Revis Island, before it's really time. You, I mean, you got to earn that status, right? Like he thinks that that team should fear him just being out there. Almost it feels like, but he's not a tackler. At the end of the
Nah.
day, he's just not a tackler.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side of the ball, it's just a hodgepodge, hot mess. Like Braylon Allen was becoming a thing. He's not. Like Garrett
Yep.
Wilson was going to step up. He's not. Devontae Adams was going to finally have his respite. That's not happening. Yeah, they'll sometimes get you points. I don't know, man. If you're relying on your Jets to get you to the promised land, it's probably too late for you.
I mean, Garrett Wilson had 8 targets and he had 18 yards total. I mean, that's just malpractice, to be honest, by the Jets. Um,
It's over, man. It's over. Their season is over. It's not happening. I would expect them to be in Dallas territory before long.
I think you just, I think you just only thing worth keeping, Brees would be there, and then if you want to try to get Devontae as a wide receiver two, wide receiver three, on your team just to get you fantasy points, but they're
Like
done.
Devontae's, it's the same thing as the Cowboys, right? Like CD will be my wide receiver three, um, which is the only reason I have any
Man,
hope. But you can't
I
rely on
hate
these
you, man.
guys.
I hate that CD is your wide receiver three, man. Screw you, man.
It don't count.
Yeah.
Um, okay, we're gonna skip over a couple of these games. Let's talk Packers Bears. Bears gonna bear.
Bears are
Bears
gonna
managed to
bear.
bear somehow.
Hey, man, I saw somewhere the scriptwriters got lazy this week. They just used the same thing that the Broncos Chiefs did last week, and they did the same thing this week with the Bears and Packers.
Well,
But
good to see a Packers quarterback still in firm possession of the Bears, ownership possession of the Bears.
but you know what? He only had 17
It don't matter.
attempts.
It
I
don't
mean, he had
matter. He
261
scored.
yards, but a lot of that was on that one deep bomb to Christian Watson, which he may or may not have caught. But
Do you think? Do you think
17
Aaron Rodgers
attempts,
called
yeah.
him again last year? Aaron Rodgers called him and was like, "Hey, good job.
Yeah.
We still own them." Do
No,
you think he called them this week?
no. I think Aaron Rodgers is just doing darkest retreats at home in New Jersey somewhere.
Okay, I'm gonna call out some players. You tell me what you think about them. DeAndre Swift,
Pass.
DJ Moore,
I think fantasy wise, he'll get targets, he'll get catches, he'll get yards.
Keenan Allen,
He's done. He's
uh,
too over the hill.
Roma
I would
Dunze.
try to trade. I do still a fan of Rome. I think late season he could come on. I think the Bears have a really tough schedule coming up. They're going to be behind a lot.
Don't
Um,
don't waste your time on Roma Dunze, dude. They have the most difficult schedule coming up.
yeah,
Just he's great. If
game
you're
script.
bowing out, if you're tapping out and you're getting cat keepers, then yeah, maybe take a shot on him for next year. But yeah, game script. But
Yeah, that's the only reason.
that's your only hope, man.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams to me is still a bum. What do you think about Jordan Love rest of the season?
I think this is when Love started making his move last year. I think this
Yep.
is when he started getting hot. I
I
think as
think
he gets
this
healthier, I think he's gonna start stepping it up
I could be wrong.
as the season goes on.
This point on last year he was QB6 overall,
Yeah.
total points. What about your boy Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed, he's so hot and cold, man. It's tough. I
This is
mean, I
why
just looked,
this
but I
I
looked
was
up. He's still wide receiver 5 or 6 on the whole season, but I think a lot of that is from the
no,
first game.
he's great. It's just it's too Drew Brees Saintsy to me.
Yeah.
That back in the day they had so many weapons that you could
Yep.
never rely on anyone other, not named Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Um, that was basically my philosophy is I don't want to be the one trying to predict a hot game for somebody and then be left holding the bag
Yeah.
afterwards. What do you think about the fact that Josh Jacobs has kind of been slightly injured all season long, and Marshawn Lloyd is now officially off the IR and opening up practice
Uh,
windows shortly?
I still think Jacobs has done. I think he's outperformed what his expectations were on this team. I think he's been pretty solid. He got a touchdown this week, 18 carries, 76 yards, a little more than 4 yards a carry. He's getting a couple catches. He had 4 catches for 58 yards, so which is a little bit something out of what he used to do for your Raiders. So it's nice to see him kind of involved in the pass game, and especially in our PPR league. So um, I think he's solid. I think Lloyd maybe get mixed in a little bit, give him a little breath of uh, g- give him some rest, but I don't see Lloyd being a
He's
major impact
he's
of this.
just an injury handcuff to me.
Yep, yep.
Um, Falcons Broncos, not going to spend too much time on this one, but any panic on Drake London, Kirk changed?
No. I mean, we talked about
Any
it last week. I think we had sits on both of them, Kirk
both of them.
and Drake, because
There you
he
go.
has two.
Everybody watching the channel, we at least got two right.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, we got
um,
three in this game.
we sure
I
did.
think my start was Bo Nix last week.
Yep, yep.
you know, running, passing. I think Bo Nix is really coming along. The game
I
was in
think
Denver.
I'm gonna hot take here. This is where the Broncos run ends. Um,
Oh,
yeah, they've outperformed expectations over the last 4 weeks. I'm a huge believer in the law of averages. Law of averages states Bo Nix has still got some stinkers in him. I have nothing to go off of besides the law of averages, but statistically, he's gonna suck again. Um, but if I'm holding on to anybody, there's only two players that I have any hope for on the Broncos: Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix. I don't want to hear a third name. Not going to put him on my team, and damn sure ain't going to be one of the running backs.
I mean, Javante's the only one though. He's pretty much the bell cow now.
Dude is a different guy every week, bro. It's
Yeah.
like Audric Estime last week, Jaleel
Yep.
McLaughlin the week before. Like I've seen some people in our league just chasing the points, right? Like
Yeah.
you ever see like just the waiver with Denver running backs like in your leagues? All right, cool. Moving along, the Niners lost, so that's good.
That fantastic.
Fantastic. It was a great end to the week. Got to troll the Niner fans a little bit. Debo's still Debo. CMC, I'm not too concerned about that at all. Your like ancillary running backs on the San Francisco, your ancillary running backs, just go ahead and send them to the
Drop
waiver
all of them.
wire, get rid of all of them. If George Kittle didn't play for you, that sucks. He's wide receiver one. You don't get my sympathy because he wasn't drafted as such. So you're probably doing just fine. Hopefully you had a good replacement. Ricky Pearsall, you gonna play
One
him?
catch.
You gonna play him again the rest of the season?
I don't think
Unless
so.
you're
I
desperate.
mean, my start of the week last week again was Juwan Jennings,
Juwan,
and
yeah,
he's producing. He looks like Purdy's favorite target, to be honest.
he might win you the league, man.
Yeah, he could.
He's
He could.
he's gonna be that dude. Wide receiver. I would say wide receiver four from here on out. He's definitely a league winner. You got to have him again. Late trade deadlines, trade for him.
Yep.
Not really looking at him from a keeper perspective. I don't know
No,
what the hell's going to happen next year, but
we'll
what
see.
about JSN?
Jason's a stud, man. I think I lost out on the waiver wire by like $1 for JSN. I tried to pick him up, and I think you messaged me that morning. And I kick myself every week. He's a stud, man. He's gonna be a slot monster. Tyler Lockett's, I think he's done. Metcalf's on the outside. I think Metcalf may be up for his contract. Correct me if I'm wrong. Coming
Yeah,
up soon. So I think JSN's gonna be just gonna be getting tons of
Ken
catches. Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, massively underrated running back. Like I don't feel like when I'm listening to like fantasy media talking about, just who's hot, who's not. This dude's name never comes up, but
No.
what a workhorse, man.
Yeah.
Uh, dude, if you have Ken Walker, unless you're like the guy in our league that has Ken Walker is in a position where he probably doesn't need to play him,
He's
but
not even playing him. He didn't play him this
he's,
week.
I mean, his team is so damn good. I mean, what doesn't even really make a difference to him? But for the average plebe like myself, Ken Walker, man, he's got to be in your lineup. Set him and forget him. You can just forget about that running back
Yep.
position altogether. Um, so fun story. I had yesterday in my shopping cart. I had on Game Time. Shout out Game Time if you guys want to throw us a sponsorship. Big fans. On the Game Time app, had Bengals Chargers tickets in my shopping cart. Went about my day, started doing something.
Oh,
Dude, they had great seats. It was like fifth row back for $300. It was an amazing deal. Again, we are not sponsored by Game Time, but big fans. Um, and I just blanked on it, and then went about my day. And the evening time came around, and I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm not sitting in SoFi Stadium right now and dealing with that traffic. And then I watched the first half, and I was like, ha, see, oh, good thing I forgot. And then by the end of the game, I was like, I could have
man, that would
won.
have been
What a
one hell
game!
of a game, too. What a
What a
game.
game, dude! Everybody on these teams, man. Like I'm high on everybody. Um, kind of freaked me out a little bit when Lab McConkey got hurt because I'm starting to become a fan of that guy. He's like
Yep.
he's giving Cooper Cup vibes already. Um, I don't know, maybe just because he's white, but
Yeah, I was about to say.
probably
You're
just because
racist,
he's
bro.
white and he's playing in LA.
Yeah. He's a coach's
but
son.
but no, yeah, Herbert's coming on real strong. I thought he was gonna be like, I thought he was gonna be dealing with that injury all season long.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be affecting him. I've been kind of terrified about J.K. Dobbins, my trade for him, the last couple of weeks, but dude, he's starting to get some of that explosiveness back. You look at him juxtaposed with Nick Chubb, who seems like he's just a shell of himself, both having gone through similar, although more extreme, in Nick Chubb's case, versions of the lower extremities injuries. J.K. Dobbins is unreal, man. What was your takeaways for the Bengals?
Bengals, I mean, T. Higgins looked fantastic. He looked all the way. I mean, the Burrow threw 50 times, so there's going to be volume there for Higgins. Chase is going to be doubled almost every drop back. So Chase only had 7 catches for 75 yards, while Higgins had 9 for 148. I mean, that's a great comeback. As long as Higgins can stay healthy, and I don't know, I never touch T Higgins because he's always hurt. He grabbed his
Yeah.
back right there in the second quarter,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, here we go.
I think that was his
And
first. Was that his first catch?
first or second catch, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, that
just
was that was. Yeah, I
he's
was
too
thinking the same
fragile.
thing.
I
I
guarantee you, whoever pays for T Higgins in free agency next year will regret it,
I
a
heard some of
hundred
the guys
percent.
talking about him in our chat, hoping that the Raiders pick him up, but that just please stay away. T. Higgins, if somehow you're
Yeah,
scrolling and you come by this video, stay
yeah,
away from the Raiders, please. We don't look. You're great,
yeah,
bro, but we have enough problems of our own.
yeah.
Jamar Chase, what do you even really need to say? Chase Brown,
Nope. Yeah.
another league winner. What the hell? I was trying desperately to trade for him, but the owner proved to be just too savvy. I thought I could probably like pull the wool over his eyes, or rope a dope him a little bit, like say, hey, like let's agree to this, but then sneak him in. It wasn't working, man. I tried very hard to acquire him. That's my only regret, is it just didn't work. I guess I get the only reason I don't regret it is it just didn't work. But Chase Brown, again, late trades, trade deadlines, go out there and get him. If he's on your bench, start him. I'm starting Chase Brown over definitely J.K. Dobbins, definitely Rico Dowdle, definitely over Ramondre. I'm starting him over, potentially he's kind of on par with Kenneth Walker. The only running backs I'm not starting him over, Derrick Henry, Saquon
Yep.
Barkley, Jameer Gibbs, maybe David Montgomery. Again, Kenneth Walker is kind of a toss up. Other than that, I think he's plug and play for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because Chase not only had 22 carries for 86 yards, he also had 5 catches, 57. So,
And did you see those
uh,
catches?
yeah, he's got good hands.
There's I mean if you just weren't aware that that's a running back out there, you would think that it's like a slot receiver.
Yep.
He was. I mean, he's got great hands. He was just super shifty. He was able to like get open, and I'm really surprised at what an athlete he truly is. If only he could block. If only they trusted him to block, he would be one of the best running backs the Bengals have seen in a long, long time.
And if you picked up Mike Gesicki a few weeks ago after that big game, I'm sorry, he had 0 catches for 0 yards.
But that's
So,
the difference, right? That's the difference between sharps when it comes to fantasy and
yep,
casual fantasy and duds. Like if you're just chasing points,
yep.
and you go after names like Mike Gesicki, you're usually gonna lose. Yeah, I no sympathy for you if you picked him up and chased those points. I was really big fan of Eric All for just coming into the season, seeing the position that he was going to be in, really tough to see him miss the rest of the year with that happening. He was
Yeah.
kind of starting to ascend. His targets were ticking up week over week. With that happening, though, dude, you can't trust their tight end group at
No,
all.
no.
Yeah. So, I don't care how desperate you are, go pick up Taysom Hill and play him for a week if you have to. Don't play Cincinnati tight ends.
Yeah, let's
And
talk
that
about Taysom Hill. Yeah, right there. New Orleans and Cleveland. What a, I
uh,
mean,
Luckily,
the-
thanks to you, I appreciate you for putting such a whooping on me that it didn't matter. But
yeah.
I let my ego get the best of me, dropped Taysom Hill, and picked up Dawson Knox to play him against you, the ultimate Bills fan. Would have been a double negative had you beaten me by less than 40 points, but you thoroughly demolished me, so doesn't matter. Don't play him again next week, though. It's not going to happen again.
No.
Guarantee you less than 7 points. Guarantee. You heard it here. Sure Buddy Media. Guaranteed less than 7 points for Taysom Hill next week.
I don't doubt it. He's just so hit or miss. I mean, he had that one long carry for 75 yards. He's
What were
not,
they
I mean,
doing? What were they doing?
I don't know. I don't know
What
what the
were
Browns are
the
doing.
Browns doing?
No.
I bet you if you put me out there, I could have brought his ass down. Guaranteed.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, dude,
I
but
mean, he's their goal line back.
look, I'm big too. My only my only downside is I would probably pull my hamstring getting to him, but if
Yeah.
the hamstring holds up all the way
Yeah.
to
Just
him,
enough.
he's going down. Yeah,
No.
I didn't know what that.
I was disappointed in the Browns defense.
I was watching that and it was like developing slow mo. I was like saw myself losing to you as he was as he was taking off.
And you know what's
I
a
just
recurring theme I've seen all season is Kamara gets he had 2 goal line carries at the one and he got stuffed both times. And I think he's leading I think he's leading the league in carries from the 1 yard line and not scoring.
you
So
know
that's
what
frustrating.
the Saints would have done back in the day in that situation. They would have given it to Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
And now they just don't have a Mark Ingram. And I
No.
mean, Kamara's just not that guy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're gonna expect him to get up and over the pile, which I
He
don't know
doesn't do
that at
that.
this age he can do that. Um,
Yeah.
they should have like, they should have like psyched him out and into like thinking that he was in an elevator, and maybe he could have just punched his way into the end zone.
No, but they oh man, what a video.
Yep.
Um, but they just use Taysom Hill. They put Taysom Hill on shotgun and just let him run quarterback dive, and he just gets cheap touchdowns. But
Dude,
again,
at one point, I Derek Carr took off, and I thought it was Taysom Hill. Like
no,
I'd never seen him with wheels like that. But it just seemed like everything was going the Saints' way again. Unless it's Alvin Kamara, I'm not playing any Saints next week or beyond.
Last thing on the Saints, you got a good call last week about MVS. He's the ultimate boomer bust. Two catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. In fantasy box score, it looks great. But is it sustainable?
No, don't play him. I mean, like you just can't rely on that. Like it's not going to happen week after week. I'm honestly just shocked that the Browns like fell apart to the extent that they did.
Yeah.
And it's because of the Browns' ineptitude on defense that he had the game that he had. And you take a couple of stupid, like just boneheaded, blown assignments, or just weird defensive moments
Yeah.
out, and this dude has one catch for like 15 yards or something.
I
So
mean,
I just you can't rely on that man.
yeah, the game was tied going to the fourth quarter, and the Saints outscored them by 21. But switching over to the Cleveland Browns, are you buying into this Jameis Winston renaissance? I mean, he almost had
No.
395 yards passing.
What did I tell you though? I said 30 for 30, right?
Yep.
30 for 30 means you hit as much as you miss. And he missed last week, so he was due to hit this week.
Yep.
That means he's due for a bust next week. If you're somebody that thinks that you're like really good at predicting just unpredictable, total crapshoot, random events, then by all means roster him. But he's going to fail as much as he's going to succeed. So
Yeah.
don't waste your time with him.
Plus, I
It
think they lost their Dewan Jones. I don't know if he's their right or left tackle, but he's
Yeah,
out for
left
the
tackle.
season. Yep.
Yeah, he's gone for the season. That's not good for anything Browns offense related. But yeah, I just he's like the best analogy I can give is that is if like Jordan Love was just like constantly drunk.
Yeah.
Like he's basically drunk Jordan Love. Like
Yeah.
everything that he does great is just like a tiny bit elevated beyond what Jordan Love is capable of, but then everything that he does bad is just like a worse version, like a are you drunk version of
Yep.
Jordan Love, where Jordan Love will just like throw a stupid pick where you're like, why? Like you're trying to dissect it afterwards, like, well, maybe I missed it. Like he was seeing something. No, he's just Brett Favre
Yep.
reincarnated. And yeah, Jameis Winston is like a much worse version of that.
Yeah. And just so you know, am having Jameis Winston give your best man speech at when you get married. So prepare to eat some W's.
Um, well, that's all of our recap. I think next we're going to talk about a little bit of reaction to the Seahawks stomping the Niners and the Niners blowing it in classic Niner fashion. Then we're going to talk some sit starts.
All right, man. Till next time.
Well, hey everyone, thanks for tuning in again. Again, please go in there, like, comment, subscribe. Really counting on your support, your feedback, telling us what you like, what you don't like to make this channel better and really truly develop it into one of the best fantasy and sports related media outposts out there for people who just want normal guy talk, who don't want a bunch of data, stats, stuff that you have to like go and look up a dictionary for. So, yeah, really appreciate any feedback you all can provide, and see you next time.